Well, here we are. It's another day. We are actually in day 5 of our daily God Walk devotional, The King and His Kingdom. The title for today's message is Man Fails the Choice Test. We've spoken already about how that God created the kingdom of heaven on earth in the Garden of Eden and how that was lost. This is at the point at which man lost heaven on earth and begins the journey back to God that culminates in our relationship with Jesus Christ and eventually our eternal home. But let's get right into our devotion for today. Reading from Genesis chapter 3 and verse 6. When the woman saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye, and also desirable for gaining wisdom, she took some and ate it. Notice this. She saw, she reasoned, and she had desire. That is the process by which we fall into sin. We'll talk more about that in another time. But when God formed man from the dust and breathed life into him, man was perfect. He was a spirit man in a fleshly body. The only life he knew was the breath or spirit of God that was breathed into him. Man was created body, spirit, and soul, but his soul was dormant at creation. His body was from the dust of the earth, and his spirit was from the breath of God. And the life in the body came directly from the breath of God. This thing we call life that is in man is the eternal spark that God ignited with his own breath. As long as man lived in innocence, he was dominated by his spirit man. He walked and talked with God without any resistance. His flesh was guided by his spirit, and his spirit was fully given to God. This man's state of existence in ignorance. This was man's state of existence in ignorance. Ignorance is not bad. However, God had also given man a soul at creation. The purpose of soul seems to be to answer the cravings of the flesh. And as long as the soul lay dormant and man was guided by his spirit, he continued in innocence. God warned man about the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil because he knew that the knowledge of evil would awaken the soul. And when man becomes awakened to the pleasures of evil, his soul begins to dominate the spirit and leads man to fulfill his desires. The serpent appealed to the human side of mankind. He addressed the needs and desires of the flesh. And when Adam and Eve listened to the serpent, their soul person began to have desire. When the soul person saw what was desirable to the flesh, they then traded their innocence for the empty promises of their soul man. Today, living in the kingdom frees us from soul dominance and releases the spirit man to pursue righteousness. Those who live according to the sinful nature have their minds set on what that nature desires. But those who live in accordance with the Spirit have their minds set on what the Spirit desires. The mind of sinful man is death, but the mind controlled by the Spirit is life and peace. That's from Romans chapter 8, verses 5 and 6. I encourage you today, if you have not yet truly submitted yourself to God and His kingdom, today is the day. Today is the time for you to fully surrender and say, God, here I am. I have tried it my way and it hasn't worked. I want to enter your kingdom here on earth through faith in Jesus Christ. I'd love to visit with you. Leave a comment below. And if you would like a copy of the entire month of devotions called The King and His Kingdom, just leave a message here. You can, yes, either private message me or leave a comment below. Also, if you've enjoyed this, please like and share with any of your friends. You will be blessed. God be a blessing to you today. Amen. Talk with you again tomorrow.